With the new decision that Sony has finally made to roll back the region locking for Helldivers 2, now anybody in any spot in the world can finally purchase and enjoy this game. And with that, that means there's going to be a lot of new players, a lot of new recruits joining the fray, so I figured it'd be a nice idea to put together a video talking about all of the things that you can get in Helldivers 2 for completely no cost, absolutely free. From starter equipment to crossover equipment to things that they gave us for specific milestones, I'm going to go through all the things that you can get in Helldivers 2 for completely no cost. Now, before I go into that, I do want to stress that although yes, there is premium currency and yes, there are things that you can get using actual money, basically anything in this game can be gotten absolutely free so long as you are a steady player or somebody who knows how to optimize your super credit farming. In fact, my good buddy Ron not too long ago made a video for Helldivers 2 talking about a good way that you can farm super credits, which I have been using myself, and it has netted me 3 war bonds just using that particular method. So you can get basically anything you want in this game completely free just by putting in the effort. But if you are somebody who does not want to spend a cent, or you do not have a crazy amount of time to play, this is everything that you can get for no cost whatsoever. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you want to see more Helldivers content or any other type of content in the future, be sure to hit that bell and subscribe button. That way you never miss another upload. Now, like I said in this video, I'm going to go through everything that you can get in Helldivers 2 completely for free. Now, that includes anything that you can acquire without having to spend money, as well as anything that was given to us at some point in time. Now, I will say for some of the stuff, especially the things that were given to us as a result of some sort of a celebration or milestone, I'm not sure if those were necessarily time sensitive, if you could have only gotten them through a certain amount of time. I do know that the current only crossover event, the Killzone 2 crossover, was only active if you had a current account while the crossover was still going on. So unfortunately, if you are a new player just starting right now, you won't get access to the free stuff that was available with the Killzone 2 crossover until they eventually bring it back to the store or do another round of that, which Arrowhead or Sony, whoever's in charge of that, please do that again, because it would be nice if everybody could get that. But as for the other celebration type equipment, I'm not sure if there was some sort of a time sensitive window that you could get those items with. So if anybody does know, please let me know down in the comments. That way others can be aware of that information as well. But now going into the actual free equipment that you have access to, starting with the weapons and specifically the assault rifles. Unfortunately, you only have 2 assault rifles that are completely free with no strings attached to them whatsoever. You have the default AR-23 Liberator. This is the default weapon that everybody has no matter what, so long as you have played the game. And then you have the AR-23P Liberator Penetrator. This is available through the very first free warbond, the Helldivers Mobilized warbond that everybody has access to. And honestly, even if you just have these 2 assault rifles, you'll be pretty good for most of the playtime that you have, because you have a light armor penetration weapon with the Liberator, which is still a very reliable and good weapon to use. And the Liberator Penetrator is great if you just want to have medium armor pen. It will do the job for you just fine. Moving over to marksman rifles, you have 3 total options, provided it is not time sensitive. You have the R63 Diligence, you have the R63 CS Diligence Counter Sniper, and you have the R2124 Constitution. Again, kind of similar to the assault rifles, you have a pretty decent spread. The Diligence and the Diligence Counter Sniper are both from the Helldivers Mobilized warbond, and the Constitution was just given to everybody. Again, I don't know if that was a time-sensitive thing or just everybody has access to it. Not that it really matters, because fortunately it's not a very good weapon, at least at the current moment. But again, you have a light armor option and a medium armor option, so any of those weapons will handle perfectly well if you do want to use marksman rifles. Moving over to the submachine guns, unfortunately, you only have 1 or 2, depending on when your account was made and when you started playing. The only one that you have access to without anything is the SMG-37 Defender, which is a very good SMG. Again, this is from the Helldivers Mobilized warbond, and it's solid light armor penetration. It handles pretty well, especially with weapon attachments. It handles incredibly well. And then the other option is the STA-11 SMG from the Killzone 2 crossover. But again, if you did not have an active account when this crossover happened, you unfortunately do not have access to it. Thankfully, though, you're not really missing much, because if you got the Super Citizen edition of the game and you got the MP98 Knight, it functions very similarly. They handle kind of roughly the same, although the STA-11 might be a little bit faster, but you can't even really customize it because it's a special crossover weapon, so you're still not missing much with it. But yeah, you only do have 2 SMGs at most to work with if you are completely free. Now, shotguns, on the other hand, we have a lot of shotguns that are available to us for free-to-play players. In fact, a majority of the shotguns are completely available to everybody. You have the SGA Punisher, the SG-8S Slugger, the SG-225 breaker, and the SG-225 SP breaker spray and pray. You don't want to know how many times it took me to say that properly. All of these shotguns are available in the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond at varying levels, and they are all pretty good. Even if you just have these shotguns for the entirety of your playtime, you will be perfectly fine. Punisher is still one of the most reliable shotguns in the game. It does a great amount of damage, and it just is able to delete things very easily. Slugger has medium penetration, which is great for bots. It also fires in slugs, so it actually has a good amount of range. The breaker used to be the best shotgun in the entire game when it first came out, and this was just incredibly strong. Now it's been dialed back a little bit. It's still good, but it's not nearly as necessary as it was before. And the spray and pray, while not quite the most meta option in the world, is still great for shredding through bugs or vote lists or just any sort of small chaff that you can go through. So going over to energy-based weapons, you only have 2 or 3 options, again, depending on when your account was made. With the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond, you have access to the LAS-5 Scythe and the Plas-1 Scorcher. These are both pretty good weapons. The LAS-5 Scythe, I feel like, is a lot better than it was before. I don't know why. I don't think they did any major updates to it recently, but it just feels better. And the Plas-1 Scorcher is, in my opinion, just one of the most versatile weapons in the entire game. It's great for bugs, great for bots, great for Illuminate. It's just incredibly good. And then again, if you did have access to the Killzone 2 crossover, you got the Plas 39 Accelerator Rifle, which is like an energy sort of 3-round burst sniper rifle. It's not bad. It has medium armor pen, so it's good for long range encounters. But again, if you didn't have your account at the time, it unfortunately is not available to you until they bring it back. Going over secondary weapons, again, you don't really have a whole lot of options. You unfortunately only have 2 with the P2 Peacemaker and the P19 Redeemer. If you did want to just get one thing from the Superstore, you can now get the P92 Warrant, which has medium armor penetration as the only sidearm that is available by itself in the Superstore, so you can get that if you want, but again, it's also not free to play, but I'm just throwing that in because it's the only sidearm that exists outside of a Warbond. And then no melee weapons are available to you if you're free to play. There are a few that are individually available in the Superstore, like the Stun Baton and the Combat Hatchet, but none that are completely free to play. And unfortunately, there's also no special pistols that are available. All the ones like the Dagger, the Grenade Pistol, the Ultimatum, they are all locked behind a Warbond. And then talking about throwables, these are your grenades. You do have access to a couple. You have the G12 High Explosives. These are the ones that are your default grenades. These have heavy armor pen. They have a pretty wide explosive radius. They're really good. Even to this day, I still find myself using them. You also have the G6 frags from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. These have medium armor pen, but don't have nearly as long of a fuse time, so they blow up a little bit quicker. And then for special grenades, you have the G3 Smoke Grenade. This is just your standard smoke grenade. And then you have the G16 Impact. These are just grenades that explode directly on impact, and they're one of my personal favorites. I use these a lot, especially when I'm up against bugs or even Illuminate. I use these a lot. But unfortunately, those are the only grenade options that you have if you are full free to play. And that covers all of the weapons that you have access to when you are completely free to play player. Again, if you grind up your super credits and get a whole bunch of the premium Warbonds that you want, you can obviously get more. But if you are just starting off and you don't want to spend anything, that is what you have access to. Moving over to armor. Armor is a little bit different. You don't have a crazy amount of armor options, especially depending on what category you're looking at, but you do have some in every single category. Starting off with the light armors, unfortunately, you only really have 2 options unless you again had a account while the Killzone stuff was going on, because the Killzone armor, the AC2 Obedient, was given to everybody, which has the acclimated passive, which is decent. But again, if you didn't have an account at that time, you weren't able to get this, and your only 2 options for light armor, if you are fully free to play, are the SC34 Infiltrator and the SC30 Trailblazer Scout. Both of these come from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond, and both of them have the Scout passive, which is a decent passive that allows you to be kind of stealthy. And unfortunately, that is all you have access to for light armors, but thankfully you have a lot more options for medium armors. Of course, you have the B01 Tactical. This is your default starting equipment. This is the base armor that everybody has, and it has extra padding, which is, in my opinion, a very good armor passive. So honestly, you could literally go through the entire game, your whole playthrough, just using the B01 Tactical and be perfectly fine. And then to also throw in another one, we have the TR40 Golden Eagle. This is literally basically the exact same thing as the B01 Tactical, except it's just pure gold. They gave this out when the Escalation of Freedom update came out. I don't know if they still give it to even new accounts when you first log in and you get this, but it's there. It's just another free armor set, but it is the exact same thing as the B01 Tactical, so you don't really have to worry too much about it if you don't have it. And then just to go over the other 2 sort of gift armor sets that they gave us. First, we have the DP00 Tactical. This is the one they gave us for Liberty Day. This armor is meant to be reminiscent of the original armor all the way from Helldivers 1, and it has Democracy Protects, which is the armor passive that allows you to potentially just avoid lethal damage. It's really cool, especially knowing that this is modeled after the original Helldivers 1 armor. But if you don't have access to this one, if this was a time-sensitive thing, there are plenty of other armors available to you that do have Democracy Protects. And the same thing goes for the B-22 model Citizen. This was given out for the game's anniversary back in February, and it looks, again, just like the B-01 Tactical, although a little bit of a different color scheme. It's got some chrome in it, and it also has Democracy Protects. So it's just a little bit of a different design if you want something that has Democracy Protects but looks a certain way, but you, trust me, have plenty of other options when it comes to Democracy Protects armor if you don't want to use this one, or if you don't have access to it. And then in the Helldivers Mobilized, the free warbond I keep mentioning, there are 6 different medium armors that you have access to. 2 of them have Democracy Protects, like I mentioned, which are the DP40 Hero of the Federation and the DP11 Champion of the People. 2 of them have the Medkit passive, which is the one that gives you more stims, and those are the CM09 Bone Snapper and the CM14 Physician. 1 of them has Scout, which is a very interesting concept on a medium armor. That's the SA04 Combat Technician. And you have 1 that has Engineering Kit, which is one of my personal favorite passives in the game, and that's the CE35 Trench Engineer. And then for one last medium armor set, I'm assuming this is still available, even though it was given away in Twitch a while ago, but I'm assuming the DLC is still available on Steam. But you have the TR117 Alpha Commander medium armor set. This also has med kit, similar to the other ones. Then lastly, for heavy armors, unfortunately, you only really have 2 options for heavy armors if you are just completely free, and that is the FS05 Marksman and the FS23 Battlemaster from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. And they both are just heavy armor that have the Fortified passive, which is a great passive that reduces explosive damage and also gives you a bit better recoil. Next, just to briefly talk about the different boosters that you have access to as a free-to-play player. Boosters are these sort of bonuses that you can bring onto a mission that give your whole team a benefit. Unfortunately, you don't have access to too many of them as a full free-to-play player, but at least in my opinion, the ones that you do have access to are some of the best in the game, even despite many being added in afterwards. You have access to the Hellpot Space Optimization, which allows everybody to spawn in their Hellpots fully stocked up on ammo, grenades, and stims, which in my opinion is the best one in the entire game, and it's the very first one you get. You have Vitality Enhancement, which just makes everybody a bit more durable. You have UAV Recon Booster, which makes it so that way everybody's radar is a bit bigger. You have Stamina Enhancement, which gives everybody more stamina capacity so they can sprint for better. You have Muscle Enhancement, which allows people to run and move through difficult terrain much easier, so they're slowed down less. And then lastly, you have the Increased Reinforcement Budget, which just increases the amount of respawns your whole team has. And I'm not going to go into the whole list of stratagems because basically every single stratagem you get in the game for free because you just have to unlock them, with the exception of a couple that are linked behind warbonds. So instead, I'm just going to go through the ones that are behind warbonds that you can't get. So if you are a full free-to-play player and don't have access to any of the warbonds, the only stratagems you don't have access to are the Sterilizer and the Guard Dog Dog Breath. These are gas-based stratagems. You don't have access to the Directional Shield, the Anti-Tank Emplacement, the Flame Sentry, the Portable Hellbomb, the Hover Pack, the One True Flag, and the De-Escalator. But, at least in my opinion, a lot of these stratagems are more for just fun or flavor than they are actually effective. All of, at least in my opinion, the best stratagems in the entire game are all the ones that you have access to yourself without having to buy any of these warbonds. And that about covers everything that you can get for completely free as a free-to-play player in Helldivers 2. Hopefully this helps some of you rookies out there understand what it is that you're coming into and the kind of stuff that you have access to if you don't want to purchase or get anything. But again, like I said, getting super credits is not really that hard and you can get them relatively easily. And if you're just consistent with saving them up, you will be able to get any of the warbonds that you want and have access to more cooler armor, cooler equipment later on down the line. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video informative and entertaining. If you did, please be sure to let me know by hitting that like button and consider becoming a member and subscribing today. It really helps me out a lot. For Super Earth Helldivers, I will see you in the next video.